Hi folks, welcome back to the shoe wall here at Climb On in Squamish. I'm Tyrone, I'm the footwear product manager here. And today we're going to cover off sport climbing shoes. We're going to go through some general information about sport climbing shoes, and then we're going to dive into some specific models as archetypes of the specific shoes that would work best on the type of rock that you're likely to find sport climbing. So I love sport climbing. Guilty as charged. I mean, what's not to like about grabbing a fistful of draws and then just clipping away and focusing on the movement and sending? Two elements which really will come into play when it comes to selecting a sport climbing shoe are the rock, so the angle that you're climbing on and the type of rock, and as well your level of expertise and performance. So if you're just starting out, the good news is you can probably use one shoe for doing sport climbing, trad climbing, and even bouldering. What you'll be looking at is a relatively flat shoe that's fairly symmetrical and not downturned. It's got some rigidity to it, so it provides some support when you're on those small edges, but also when you're jamming into cracks. As you progress through the grades, things get a little bit trickier and one shoe probably won't do it. You'll be looking at getting a couple of pairs of shoes to help optimize performance. And this is mostly to help you advance in the grades in steeper face climbing and steeper overhang climbing. All right, we'll cover some general considerations and then we'll dive into some specific models. So, Velcro or lace. Unlike the stop and go and constant on-off with bouldering, where Velcro is best, you can definitely consider a lace up as an option when it comes to sport climbing. That shoe will be on your foot for a longer period of time. Laces offer some versatility when it comes to fit. If you've got a wider forefoot, you can loosen them up and then tighten them. Or if you've got like a narrower heel, you can use the laces to snug up the heel. So you can fine tune it way better with a lacing system. Having said that, if you prefer the convenience of Velcro, that's totally fine too with sport climbing. Next, let's talk about edging. So when you're talking sport climbing, think of it as using the shoe to put it on something as opposed to in something like crack climbing. So when it comes to edging, what you want is you want a fairly stiff platform to help support you. You also want some tension in the shoe that'll help drive the force to the forefoot area. And then you probably want some firmer rubber underneath as well to hold an edge better. Third, let's talk about tension and asymmetry in a rock shoe. A certain amount of tension is good in any shoe, otherwise they would just fall off. So with tension and asymmetry, and tension I'm talking about this sort of elasticized effect here, and then asymmetry is this banana-like curve here on the shoe. With sport climbing shoes, this is enhanced though. Think about the power of a slingshot driving all the forces of your effort to the front, strongest part of your foot, your big toe area. This is enhanced with sport climbing shoes. Finally, let's talk about downturn or profile in a shoe. There are two things at play here. The first one is that when you load a downturn shoe with weight, it actually creates even more tension within the shoe, driving more force towards the front. The second element at play here is the ability of the shoe to grab on steeper terrain. With a downturn shoe, you can see it's got this claw-like effect so that it can actually perform better when you're on steeper rock. So thinking about those general considerations and the interface between the type of rock that you're climbing and your performance level, let's take a look at some specific models. In the category that I call sort of the emerging sender category, I've got the La Sportiva Kubo here. What's interesting about the Kubo is that it's got a fairly friendly shape to it. It's fairly straight and it's fairly flat. It's not that downturned. Yet it has some high performance technologies within it, like this P3 permanent power platform from La Sportiva, which is as well found in some of their higher end models. In terms of the sole area, you'll see that it's actually got this sort of bi-component sole. It's got a forefoot and it's got a heel here. And this lends itself to being a bit more of a flexible shoe, which is kind of what you want when you're sport climbing. With the Kubo, in terms of the rubber, the women's version comes with this excess grit rubber, which is softer. It's not quite as durable, but that's with a nod to perhaps lighter climbers using this particular shoe. The men's version comes in an excess edge rubber, which is a bit more durable, and that's as well speaks to sort of perhaps heavier climbers using that shoe. Also in the emerging sender category of sport climbing shoes, I've got the Evolv Geshido, comes in a men's and women's version, and I've got the Boreal Crux as well in a men's and women's version. Now, they're similar to the Kubo, but the reason why I might say they're a step up is that they're a bit more downturned. So they've got a bit more of a downward turning profile here, which might suggest that they're kind of a step up when it comes to performance. So the next category up in performance from the emerging sender category, I've kind of got this technical specialist category. And a prime example of that is the La Sportiva Katana shoe. It's available in a men's version as well as a women's version. And this thing is an edging machine. Ironically, it's a good all-arounder as well, but let's focus on the edging power. It's one of the stiffest shoes in the La Sportiva line, so that would be great for dime-size edges on, let's say, pet wall here in Squamish. The men's version of the Katana lace features a full-length outsole and as well excess edge rubber, which holds an edge a bit longer. It's a bit harder, more durable, not as grippy. And then the women's is a split sole with excess grip too on it, so it's a bit softer. Again, super great at edging. So staying with the technical specialist category, we've got the Scarpa Vapor family. In this case, this is the men's lace-up version. Unlike the Katana, which had that sort of stiff platform, the Vapor is actually quite a soft shoe. So if you prefer having a bit more sensitivity underneath your foot and sort of understanding what's going on there and feeling and getting feedback from the rock, then a shoe like this is for you. Some details around the Vapor lace shoe are the PAF technology, which is the pressure absorbing fit. It alleviates some of the tension on the back near the Achilles. It features excess edge rubber, so a bit more durable, a bit less grippy, but it'll hold an edge a bit better. And also you can see this perforation here on the outsole, and that helps with that sensitivity that I was talking about earlier. It can kind of help that outsole bend a bit better so you can feel what's going on underfoot. So leading off in what I call the Sportmaster category, sort of that higher tier of sport climbing, I've got a lace-up model here called the Testarossa. And everything about this shoe screams high-performance sport climbing. The Testarossa is built on the La Sportiva PD85 last, which is one of their most asymmetric and downturned lasts. By contrast, the Katana is built on the PD55. So this is an extremely aggressive shoe, and it'll really excel on steep terrain. It's also very flexible, and it's quite soft. In the Sportmaster category for Velcro options, I'm looking here at the Scarpa Drago, comes in a men's and women's option, and also this new Unparallel Qubit. With the Drago, it's an extremely soft and flexible shoe, as you can see here. It features this PCB band here, which is the power connection band, and that does provide the slightest degree of structure to the shoe, but other than that, it's really composed of two parts. The rubber on the Drago is excess grip too. Typically on shoes that excel on steeper terrain, you're trying to get the grippier rubber going. Sticking with the Sportmaster category, although this shoe would make a killer bouldering shoe as well, I've got the new Unparallel Qubit, and that comes in the men's and women's version. Similar to the Testarossa and the Drago, is aggressively downturned, so great for steep rock. It does offer, however, a bit more lateral stiffness, so if you want a bit more support underfoot, this is a great option. The Unparallel Qubit does feature the RH rubber, which is a slightly harder compound, and that helps contribute to sort of that stiffer characteristic to the shoe. Be sure to check out our rock shoe fit guide at climbonequipment.com, or even better yet, come into the store and we can talk all things sport climbing.